Hey guys.
Hello!
Addie's been super busy this week.
Yes, Happy New Year, by the way.
Like, she hasn't even talked to me in a week. She crawled into her nerd cave here, opened up KiCad, and I came back 3-4 days later because it was starting to smell.
Hey.
And I found this caveman sitting here, big long scraggly beard.
Hey.
She asked me if I had any cheese.
Yeah. Are you sure that wasn't you?
So she said it was a little bit of heaven. And then she introduced me to her friend the coconut.
Yeah. Yes. So
what have you been doing?
I've been working on my my LED heart project, as some of you guys will know, for the past I guess week, and I just wanted to give an update as to where it's progressed. So last year around this time, I designed this Addy style schematic, and it's obviously not what a real schematic looks like, but I didn't really know, and it looked pretty to me. So after...
How does it look now?
Well, let's see.
Does it look ridiculous yet?
I could probably bring it back.
No. How does it look to you now?
This one?
Yes.
I still like it.
So you haven't learned anything?
No. I think it looks pretty. I think color coordination is pretty key. And I completely know what these different parts are just by looking at them. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so once this, I think Whisker made like a schematic based on this, like an actual schematic.
It was a challenge.
Yep. And then when I put it into KiCad, it pretty much looked like this, literally a rat's nest of stuff. And I laughed a little bit when I took this picture because it's just a little ridiculous. And so I think about, I don't know, a couple days after that, I put it into a board where we have the heart shape, we have most of the parts kind of somewhat situated. We have the two LEDs where they should be for the lub-dub. Designing
your board to be in a specific shape adds an extra level of difficulty.
I agree. I agree. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but I guess if you want to learn, you might as well go all the way or nothing, right? And so this is the parallax propeller that we're using. Just a few notes. If you want to put this into a breakout board, there are a couple things you need to keep in mind, which is just that you need bypass capacitors, or decoupling capacitors, I should say, between the VDD and the VSS lines on each side. And, well, this isn't even complete, so I'll just show you the next iteration. So this is nice and big. And I believe this was about a month later, maybe. And at some point I sent it to the Parallax forums for them to check. And I believe this is where this version comes from. So the switch isn't completely connected here in this version. I do have the basic voltage regulator placed in. I have the LEDs with their, I believe it's, well, yeah, they're current limiting resistors. I have the EEPROM with, I believe they're pull-up resistors here, 10K pull-up resistors.
Probably pull-down resistors, because you're trying to set the address of the EEPROM to 00.
Well, I think it was suggested that it was pull-up, so I don't know. I hope it's right. And then we again have the 4 bypass capacitors here. Let's see. And we just made some switches, I think, to just location. Oh, I think the switch actually finally got put into place. And then I had to move the EEPROM because pins 37 and 38 on the prop are used for programming it, so I couldn't really access the pins if I didn't have space to access the pins. And then here is, I believe, the pretty close to a finished edition, but this was just a placeholder for my programming header that I would need to program this prop. And we have pull-up resistors for all of the programming pins. A lot of use of vias, which are these little white circles. And yeah. And then this is a few more changes in the traces, just removing extraneous traces. Okay, and let me just show you here. So all the vias were
underneath the solder pads.
Right, underneath the solder pads, and I thought this was a grand idea, just add a little solder. But apparently that makes it extremely difficult to solder up. So I had to move all of the ground vias to, well, slightly outside. And the top layer, I should mention, is the power plane. The bottom layer, underside layer, is the ground plane. So, with that, there's the header. It's placed in, it's lovely, it's lovely.
Those pull down resistors on it now.
Pull up. These are pull-up
I
resistors.
see.
Mm-hmm. And then that was, I believe this is the final version.
That's where you're at now.
Yep. And see, there, it brings us back to the beginning. So I'll show you guys the final version. Yep, so here is the schematic that I have in KiCad. And I think I put up some tutorials about how to get to this point in terms of placing components and making your own modules and things of that nature. So it's kind of a cluster because I had to add things as people in the forums and like Red and Jason Todick suggested, and so it's probably not as clean as it could be, but it is what it is. And yeah, so then from here, here's the board itself, and you saw a screen capture of it earlier. Yeah, we've got the battery clip, we've got the voltage regulator, we have the switch, we have the two LEDs for the lub dubs, we have the header, this is the EEPROM, we have the crystal, and which some people suggested I not include if I needed space, but I don't know, it's already got its own little corner here. And then of course this is the propeller chip. And yeah, a lot of pull-up resistors, pull-down resistors, bypass capacitors, decoupling capacitors, ground vias, and yeah.
I think the crystal's a good idea because it makes it more hackable.
Ah, that's a good point. And so you see a lot of these unused pins. I've had suggestions to route them to the back of the board, so put vias that people can access if they need to or if they want to, and that way it makes this project a bit more hackable.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's that.
I'll zoom in on there, scroll around for a second.
Okay. Or is that too big?
It's very interesting to see this whole process from beginning to end.
Oh, you know what I should do? I should show, so I mentioned earlier that there's a ground plane and there's a power plane. So I think I will go ahead and fill these zones. It's really cool. So this is the power plane. So you can see that everything that requires power is pretty much connected to the same line. And actually I should double check and see if that's doing it correctly. Yeah, we'll have to see. According to the DRC checks, it works okay. But and then here's the ground plane, and you can see that some of the vias that I had are not connected, and that's not a big deal. And yeah, and the header is not connected to it except for the ground via.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like the layers too.
Yeah, I kind of like them too.
Yeah.
Alright, and I'll go ahead and remove filled areas. I'm gonna have to check that. We'll see. But yeah.
I'm sure there'll be more work on it, and we'll update you guys as it goes along.
Yep.
That's it for this week. We'll see you guys next week.
Till then.
Bye.
Bye.
We post videos all the time, so don't forget to subscribe. And follow us on Twitter at TYMKRS.